In this video, I'm going to be configuring the config.json file to set to report to SCORM 2004. There are actually going to be 3 separate steps that we need to do for this one, and the default config.json file just needs some editing so that we can enable SCORM 2004. We also need to download some files to add, and one of those files is the IMS manifest file, and that's one that we are also going to be editing. Our first step in this is we're going to change the config.json code here, and I've been provided with some code that we can use for SCORM 2004. Adapt Framework doesn't officially support it, but this is a way that we can get it that I have tested and works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste the code that I have in here, and I will share that with you. And there's a few things that change in here for the code, and I'll go over those. So for this one, what's different is we have a setting on advanced settings, and that has the SCORM version as 2004. Just another thing that I did to see what the difference would be for reporting is I changed the required course completed to true. So that's the only other thing that I changed. It has nothing to do with the SCORM reporting. I just figured I'd see what that looks like. So the next step is we need to download the SCORM 2004 files and replace them in our folder. If you go to the SCORM site here, you'll see a bunch of different packages for SCORM. You can see some of the 1.2 ones and then a bunch for SCORM 2004. What we can do is we want to grab some of the files to test out. So I'm going to test out SCORM 2004 4th edition and download this. So I'm going to download this. I have my required folder open, and I also have my downloaded SCORM 2004 folder open. And what I want to do is I want to copy everything from the SCORM 2004 over into the required. And some of this might replace other files, and that's perfectly fine. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to take all of this and I'm going to copy it over. You can drag and drop if you want, or however you want to do it. And there's 2 files with the same names, and I'm going to replace those files. And our next step is that we want to edit one of the files that's in here. In the required folder with your new files, what you need to do is find the IMS manifest file, right-click that, and open that in your text editor. So the one thing that we need to change in this is that the URL is pointing to the wrong file. So down here for the resource identifier, where we want that to point is to our index LMS file. So I want to look in the required and find that. So it's index_LMS, and that's the one that we want it to point towards. So I need to change that to index LMS, and then change this to index LMS and save that. So the difference in this tutorial from the last one is Grunt Watch is not going to work for us because we're physically or manually replacing files, so it's not looking for that update. So what we need to do is we actually have to do grunt build for this. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my command prompt, and in the directory for RadQuiz edited, I'm going to do grunt build and rebuild this. Now when that's finished, the next thing that I want to do is zip my build folder up and then test that out in the SCORM cloud. What we'll do for this is we'll select our build, and then we'll send it to a compressed zip folder, and then I'm going to upload this into the SCORM cloud here. I'm going to browse for it. I actually put a copy out on my desktop, so I'm going to select that and I'm going to upload this. And you'll notice here it does identify it as SCORM 2004 4th edition. Now, when I go through the quiz, this should also report out my score. I'm going to do the same thing as I did on the SCORM 1.2 version. I'm just going to go through this really quick and then make sure it works. And as you can see, I scored a 38%. So when I close this out, it should report that I scored a 38%. And you can see here I scored a 38%, and that's what would be sending to our learning management system. So we've done SCORM 1.2 and SCORM 2004. We've done editing questions and a ton of other stuff with this quiz. I hope this was helpful, and please leave any of your questions or comments on the post.